Yo.
Coming to you live from Philly and also the hockey capital of the world, Florida. It's the number one rated Paulie and Tony Fusco Show.
Yo.
As always, Paulie Fusco, well, not exactly here with Tony Fusco because Tony, I got on a plane right after the Stanley Cup and I flew straight down to Florida to be a part of the action because, that's what we do for you. The viewer, the listener, we take you to the heart of the action, and
we
take you on location because, in the news business, Tony, there's nothing more impressive than being on location. Here I am in Florida, as you can see, the water behind me, the beach. Now, there was a little confusion at the airport. I was so excited to just get on the plane and go. I was supposed to go to Fort Lauderdale. I actually went to Fort Myers by accident.
Yeah, but it's all Florida because it's the Florida Panthers.
The Florida Panthers. Anywhere in Florida is fine. So here I am in Fort Myers, beautiful Fort Myers on the beach, Tony, where I'm going to be going up to people. I'm out here. They're surely celebrating their state's Stanley Cup victory, back-to-back Stanley Cups here in the heart of hockey world. You can just feel the temperature in the air.
It just says hockey. It just says
I'm going to be going up to all the people up there. I'm going to be asking them because, they're up here, they're celebrating out on the beach, celebrating their back-to-back Stanley Cup victories because, Florida just a true hockey state. You can feel it. The temperature in the air may be hot, but it's a hockey town. It's a hockey town.
There it is.
Hockey state.
Hockey state,
but,
too.
before we get into all that, Tony, a lot to get to in the news. We got to do that, too, for you, the viewer. You're wondering what our takes are on all the top stories.
Of course.
So let's get right into it with our top story.
Top story.
All right, first out the gate, we got to talk about what's been going on in these NBA finals. Not on the court, because nobody cares about that. But, next to the court, where Stephen A. Smith was caught on camera right during the middle of a game, playing solitaire on his phone. Now, in his defense, this is the Thunder Pacers series, so, everybody's bored.
Yeah, they're totally fair.
But, Tony, that doesn't mean we still had a little beef with what he was doing, didn't you?
100%. I think the bigger problem is that he was playing solitaire. What is this, 1994? Was he using Windows 92? There's so many better games that he could have been playing. There's Candy Crush, Snake Clash, Wolfenstein 3D. It really makes me question what he's thinking and his choices.
Me too, Tony. Just great points all around. And, while we're talking basketball, we got to talk about what's going on in the WNBA. I mean, do you see these fights? Caitlin Clark getting into fights. I mean, here we are in the middle of the NBA Finals, and somehow the WNBA is more interesting. It's crazy, Tony.
I honestly can't believe these words are coming out of my mouth, but I think women's basketball is now way better than men's basketball. There's fighting, concussions, hair pulling, everything that the game should be about. In fact, I think we should start calling the WNBA the NBA and the NBA the WNBA. And the W then should stand for weak. I mean, look at the players' bodies. The women are now stronger than the men. I bet Brittany Griner could bench press Tyrese Halliburton.
Great point, Tony. Talking about Halliburton. You see this news, he's injured, got something with his leg, his foot.
Yeah.
You know what I think? I think his foot just fell asleep. I think the foot was just so bored during this finals, it just went to bed.
Yeah, which makes perfect sense because his foot is technically a viewer of the finals, so naturally it would fall asleep, just like all the viewers who are watching the game.
Great point there, Tony, too. And there's something that's not been sitting right with either of us. There is something very suspicious about these Pacers in these NBA Finals.
Totally.
You had a theory the other day, one of those theories. Tell the people.
I don't want to sound like one of these whack jobs that has all these crackpot theories, but did anyone think that the NBA, in collusion with the United States government, placed Tyrese Halliburton in the finals so he could advertise for Halliburton, the war company? That way people are already rooting for Halliburton, so when Halliburton, the company, bombs Iran, everyone's like, yeah, good. Just saying, it makes a lot of sense when you connect the dots and think about it.
It does, Tony, but, I got some music coming over here. These people, they set up on the beach.
They're celebrating. They're celebrating because
I'm going to be moving down the beach, Tony. We're going to be relocating here,
Yeah, normally we would tell them to shut the up. Hey, we're doing a number one show.
I don't want to rain on their celebration,
Exactly.
Okay, Tony, I've relocated away from the celebration.
Okay.
But, it was time anyway. Natural break in the show. We were going on too long about the NBA Finals.
Yeah.
Should have kept it to 30 seconds, It's ratings
exactly.
poison.
Yeah, I could see the viewers were dropping real fast, too.
But don't worry, people. We're now going to move on to another subject, baseball, which, isn't much better for the rating. But,
let's get through that quick,
at least we're going to talk about Shohei Ohtani. You see this. His interpreter, Ippei Mazuhara, was just sentenced to 57 months in prison for stealing $17 million from Ohtani to place bets. But, Tony, you got to let this guy, give him a free pass. I mean, he didn't do that much wrong,
Totally. This is just the thing that the media does, negatively spinning things. Some people say Ippei lost a lot of money for Ohtani, but did you ever stop to think that Ippei thought he was betting yen and not U.S. dollars? Sure, he lost $17 million, but he probably thought he lost 17 million yen, which is the equivalent of like $9. So this is just a clear misunderstanding.
Helpful perspective there, Tony. And, while we're talking about Ohtani, he took the mound for the first time as a Dodger. Yeah. Also for the first time in 2 years since he had Tommy John surgery. Now, that was a mistake right there, wasn't it, Tony?
Yeah, Tommy John wasn't really that great a pitcher. Wouldn't it have been better to undergo, like Clayton Kershaw surgery or Sandy Koufax surgery or even Fernando Valenzuela surgery? Just a total miss by the Dodgers medical staff.
Couldn't agree more, Tony. And, a lot of people, they're excited to see Ohtani pitch and hit, but I think that's just sending totally the wrong message. Don't you, Tony?
If there's one thing I'm against, it's position fluidity. I think players should pick either offense or defense. You can't be both. It's too confusing, especially for little kids watching. I mean, how is a dad supposed to explain to his kid that Ohtani is both a pitcher and a hitter? That's too much for a kid to understand. You can't be at the top and the bottom of the inning. Either you're taking or you're giving. I think we need to stop all this position confusion.
So well said there, Tony. And, while we're talking pitches, some sad news we have to report. Of course, we lost one of the great figures of the game, Brian Wilson, former Giants pitcher, dead. Tony, your thoughts?
Well, there's so much to say about him. The beard, the arm, just so sad to lose a man at 43, the prime of his life. Not for a baseball player. He was too old for that. But,
hold on.
What is going on?
What?
Brian Wilson, the pitcher, is alive.
What?
It's the singer who died.
The who?
Who?
You've never heard of Brian Wilson? Started the Beach Boys, one of the most important bands in music history. How do you not know this?
Oh. You know what you don't know? What a vagina looks like.
Yeah, the closest thing you've ever seen to a vagina is Brian Wilson's hairy beard. Oh!
Now, shut up. It's enough out of you. Okay, now look, we got other news to get to. This in the NFL. You see this, Tony? Antonio Brown, charged with attempted murder. But now he's been hiding out in the Middle East, which a lot of people say means he's avoiding arrest. But, Tony, what are your thoughts on that?
A lot of people are bashing Antonio Brown, but what's the number one thing we value in a receiver? Escapability. Yep. Exactly. And nobody was better at escaping coverage or corporal punishment than Antonio Brown. Yep. This just proves he's still at the top of his game.
Terrific analysis, Tony. In fact, I've been told by many people inside the league that since Antonio Brown has started avoiding these arrests, he's now become a top target for many NFL teams. Haven't you heard that?
Absolutely. According to my sources, Antonio Brown is being heavily pursued by the Dallas Cowboys, Cincinnati Bengals, Baltimore Ravens, and the San Quentin Correctional Facility Recreational League.
Great inside reporting, Tony. And now on the subject of inside reporting, as you can see again, I'm here in beautiful Florida.
Yeah.
Sure, Fort Myers, which happens to be about 3.5 hours away from Fort Lauderdale, which is about 30 minutes from Miami, where the team actually plays. But it's all
Still
Florida.
It's still Florida.
And as you know, everyone who knows the show, what are we known for? Hockey coverage. We've been leading the charge throughout the entire Stanley Cup playoffs. Now we're about to cap it off in style, so I'm about to go around, talk to all these Florida fans, see how they're celebrating, see what they're thinking, talking hockey, and we're going to do it all right after this break.
We all know the worst part about having clothing. Laundry. There you go. Well, what if you never had to do laundry again? Well, there's one simple way. Buy more shirts. There you go. That's why you got to hit up our sponsor, Fresh Clean Threads. Isn't that right, Tony?
I haven't done my laundry in 2 years, and that's all because I bought 800 shirts from Fresh Clean Threads. This shirt is comfortable, looks great, feels soft, and best of all, I'm saving money by not having to buy laundry detergent. I don't even know how to use a laundry machine. Thank you, Fresh Clean Threads.
All you got to do is go online right now to freshcleanthreads.com and buy thousands of shirts. And if you're worried about the price, don't worry, we got you covered. As a special bonus to you, enter the promo code Fusco15 and you'll get 15% off your entire order. So let's say you spend $5,000, well, you're going to get whatever 15% of that is.
Yeah, whatever that is.
All right, anyway, go to freshcleanthreads.com right now. Enter the promo code Fusco15 and get 15% off your entire order.
You're welcome.
All right, Tony, I'm here in Florida. We're here on the beach in the center of all the hockey celebration. I'm gonna go talk to some people. Hey, it's me, Paulie Fusco. Paulie Fusco, number one show. You're here to celebrate Florida win in the Stanley Cup, right? You're on air, live on air. Who? The Paulie Fusco.
The Paulie and Tony Fusco show, bro.
Oh. Yeah, I know they're starstruck, Tony.
Of course, bro.
Look, just try and focus in. Florida, hockey, Stanley Cup, thoughts?
Okay. I'm not really into hockey, but now since I'm...
Are you from Florida?
Yeah, are you from Florida?
No. I'm from Indiana. Well, I grew up in Louisville, but I play basketball in Indiana.
So you know Caitlin Clark.
Caitlin Clark.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you at least know something, but you don't know hockey, though.
No, not really.
All right, doesn't know hockey. All right, you're off the show. See you. All right,
off the show.
You're on air. Hey, bro, what's your name?
I'm Tyler.
Hey, Tyler, Florida, hockey, what do you think?
I don't know. I'm from Massachusetts.
Then what do you think? Do you have a TV?
I do.
Did you see the Stanley Cup last night?
I didn't. I just flew in.
So did I.
You picked a bad guy, man. I'm sorry.
I clearly did. But you're off the show,
You're
bro.
off the show.
See ya.
We like
See
the
ya.
tattoo,
All
but
right.
you're off the show.
Hey, Florida, hockey, what do you think? You watch the Stanley Cup? No? Nobody? All right. Having some real trouble, Tony. I was figuring this would be more of a hockey state.
Yeah, it's a hockey state.
Paulie Fusco, number one rated show. You're very excited.
Yeah.
So look, I'm trying to find a Florida hockey fan on this beach.
Good luck, man.
Yeah, I don't think they exist.
Probably not.
I thought this was a hockey state. They've won back-to-back Stanley Cups.
I didn't even know the Stanley Cup was going on.
Yeah, exactly. You and everybody else,
you
bro.
and everybody else, bro.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on here, Tony.
Yeah.
I'm on air right now. I just want to ask you, Florida hockey, they won.
Oh, I don't know hockey.
This is your state just won the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
Does anybody know that here? Am I in the right state?
No birds.
Go Birds.
Oh, birds, exactly. There are a lot of birds on this beach, too.
It's all Philly fans. It's all Eagles fans.
This segment is going terribly, Tony. I can't believe I flew down all this way just for this. I thought there'd be like a celebration.
Exactly.
Do you watch the Stanley Cup finals last night?
No.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Have you ever heard of hockey?
Yeah.
You know that Florida won the Stanley Cup last night.
Oh, really?
That's news to you?
Yeah.
I think you know more about tortilla chips than you do about
Yeah, are you
hockey.
from Florida?
I'm from Indiana.
Oh, do you know
Oh.
Caitlin Clark? She said it sounds familiar, Caitlin Clark. Not the right person to talk to, Tony. No, we'll let you be. Enjoy the book.
Thanks.
Yeah, it knows more about tortilla chips, Tony.
Off the show.
You're from Florida?
Huh?
Are you from Florida?
Yeah.
All right, can I ask you? Florida, hockey. Thoughts?
Yeah.
I don't watch soccer. Sorry.
The team just won a Stanley Cup. 2
Nobody
years
even
in a row.
knows.
Do you know that?
Nope. Don't care.
Do you even know the name of the team?
Guy. No.
Oh, D. Enough of you. You're
Yeah, off the show.
He didn't want any of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
As a reminder, Paulie, you are in Florida, and they do have the stand your ground thing. So
Yeah,
you
I gotta
know
be a little careful.
you got to be
Good
a
point,
little
Tony.
careful.
I don't want to get Zimmerman. You know, you get once you get Zimmerman, there's no going back,
No,
is there?
they, you know,
I
they're a
could
little.
see that guy, Tony. I
know.
thought I could swear he had a gun in his school.
Yeah,
I
they
was
go
like,
a little Yosemite Sam over there. You know.
Well, we're journalists, Tony, and this is what happens when you're on location.
Yeah, you got to
It gets a
take the
little
risks,
dangerous.
bro. That's why we get all the Pulitzers.
Paulie Fusco, #1 rated show. I know you're very excited. Can I talk to you? You're live on air. We got a Yankee fan here.
Yeah,
You from Florida?
Yankee.
You from Florida? You know,
I'm from Nashville.
you're from Nashville?
Nashville.
You know what happened in the Stanley Cup last night?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what happened in the Stanley Cup?
Yeah.
What happened?
Florida.
Oh, they know.
Hey,
Florida won.
there we
Oh,
go.
So you came down to celebrate, right?
Yeah, we came down to celebrate with some friends.
Yeah, there we
found the one
go.
people
We
who
found
actually know
them.
that Florida won the Stanley Cup.
Good
What's
job.
your name? What are your names here?
My name's Shohei.
All right.
I'm Carla.
All right. Look, can you just tell us what were your thoughts on the Stanley Cup? How it went?
It was 5-1, right?
Yeah.
Okay, she knew that.
Wow.
And Who are they
Finally.
playing? Who are the Panthers playing in the finals?
The Oilers.
Wow, this person actually, we found the one person in Florida who has watched the Stanley Cup. There you go. Your name is Shohei?
Yes.
Well, you're not playing charades with anybody.
Yeah, exactly.
You're right on the money.
Yeah.
Good for you. Good for you. Carla.
Good job.
There we go. We did it.
We did it.
We found the two people, I guess, who actually know.
Charades and her friend.
You know, honestly, I could keep going here, but I'm a little thirsty, Tony.
Yeah.
I think it might be 105 degrees here right now, and I've had no water. So,
Okay,
you know what?
yeah, you might be dying if you don't get some water
Let's just
soon.
wrap the show here.
Yeah, good idea.
You know,
Let's
folks, we
wrap
want to
it.
say, go visit our spot.
Wait, go to Fresh Clean.
hold on.
Yeah, I mentioned I was on the
kidding
verge
me?
of death. Look who shows up. Now I do want to die.
Yeah, look who shows up. Death himself.
Corrections.
Producer
What?
Jay. What?
Corrections.
What? Go.
Your takes on Otani were terrible all around. But Tony, you said 17 million yen is equal to $9.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, around there, sure.
17 million yen is equal to $117,000. So once again, you're not even close.
Oh, yeah, well, you know what you're not even close to? Puberty.
Yeah, and after the show, I'm gonna give you 17 million stab wounds.
Oh, there you
No,
go.
yeah,
Great
shut
one,
up.
Tony.
Wait,
What?
Oh,
You
he's
still
still
talking?
talking. What?
You said Tyrese Halliburton was a plant to promote the war company Halliburton.
Yeah, bro.
Makes sense, bro.
Yeah.
That's like the dumbest take I've ever heard. And that's quite a reach even for this show.
Oh, yeah, well, I'm going to reach for my pistol and shoot you.
Yeah. And you know what doesn't reach? Your penis to your underwear. Oh!
There you go. Great one,
Yeah,
Tony.
you're
Wait.
done.
What?
That's it.
What?
Oh,
I'm
what?
thirsty. What?
Tony, you mentioned playing Wolfenstein 3D on your phone.
Great game, bro.
Yeah, classic.
True, but it's not available on the App Store. So I'm pretty sure you're thinking of Doom.
No, Doom is what every woman thinks when they're on a date with you.
Yeah. And you know what app you should install? ZipRecruiter, because you're fired.
Get out of here! You're out of here! Off the
See
show,
ya.
too. Put him off the show.
You're done.
All right, you know what? That's it. That's a better place to wrap it. Oh, this
Yup.
just came across my phone, Tony. Look
What's
at
that?
this. Text message just came through from Mr. Nick Foles himself. He'll be on the show next week. Super Bowl
Wow,
Eagles legend.
great news.
Can't wait for that.
Yeah.
But hey, don't forget, you got to rate and review the show
you
on
got
Apple
work to do.
Podcast. You got to
Yup.
like, you got to subscribe, and you
Yup.
got to visit our sponsor, Fresh Clean Threads.
Yup,
Promo code
Fusco15.
Fusco15. Get that sweet 15% off your order.
There you
And
go.
Tony, great job as always.
Same to you, Paulie. Another flawless show.
Yep, I'm off to go to the airport now and get the hell out of the state, but first get some water before I drop dead. I'll see you later, Tony.
Yeah, make sure. See ya.